Hello, a very warm good evening to all of you and welcome to Unacademy. Welcome to the second session for the portion of environment in our Conquer Prelims series, where the aim is to shape your preparation aptly and ably well so that you are well prepared by the time that you enter the examination hall for the prelims. Now, yesterday in the environment session, we had a discussion about the protected areas in news, which were the various different protected areas, be it the Ramsar sites or be it the national parks or the wildlife sanctuaries. All of them we had discussed. Now, in today's session, as per the schedule that we had talked about yesterday, in today's sessions, we are going to talk about the important species which have been in news. Now, why those species have been in news, what is their relevance, and what kind of questions can be framed for the perspective of prelims based upon the previous year trends, that is something that we are going to discuss. I would suggest to you that please do attempt all these questions, and at the end of it, how many questions have you been able to get it right? Put it down in the comment section below. Overall, I hope this initiative which we started from the portion of polity and then we went over to IR, art and culture, economy, and now in the portion of environment ecology, I hope that this has added significant amount of content to your existing knowledge set and is helping you prepare in a better manner. If you are liking this initiative of ours, then do provide us that necessary encouragement by clicking on the like, share and the subscribe button. So, having said that, let us continue with the discussion for today. But today, the first question that we are going to discuss is from the last question of yesterday, where there was a kind of an error in terms of answer. So, we are going to clarify that, we are going to understand that, and after that, we are going to focus upon the species. So, starting with the first question, something that we had discussed yesterday as well. Consider the following statements about Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary. Now, we had discussed about this particular question that the Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary had been in news because of the fact that NTCA had recommended conversion of this sanctuary into a tiger reserve. Now, because of that, whenever a protected area is then converted into a tiger reserve, the level of protection significantly is elevated, due to which people and the general population of that region, they find it incredibly difficult to move through that area and their access is basically curtailed. So that is why there has been an increased protest from the local community of Idu Mishmis which are found in that area. Now, those have been forest dwellers and they have depended upon the forests of the region and the nature of that area for centuries altogether, and that is why there is a growing unease. So this question is derived from that. Now, today we are going to decipher this question in the sense that we are going to discuss the species which is in news. So, what is the answer for this? So, consider the following statements. It is the home of the rare species of Mishmi Takin. So, Mishmi Takin is to be found in the region of Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary. We'll talk about Mishmi Takin also, where it is found, what is its IUCN status, we will discuss about it. But some of its quantities in terms of the number of species, they are to be found in the region of Dibang. Then NTCA has recommended the notification of the sanctuary as a tiger reserve. Now, this is also correct. And third, situated in Assam, it is the home of the Idu Mishmi tribe. Now, this is basically incorrect, right? That is where the confusion was yesterday. This is incorrect. It lies in the region of Arunachal Pradesh. So, which of the statements above is or are correct? So, the correct answer is going to be C, that is 1 and 2 only. So, all of you who had a kind of an issue, a kind of a doubt yesterday, this is for you so that you understand that what the correct answer is. Now, when we talk about Mishmi Takin, Mishmi Takin is something that has been in news. That is something that you need to understand about. So, it is basically a kind of a species which lives in the mountainous areas, high mountainous areas, and you can see that the hooves, just like the species of ibex, they are particularly well suited to climb up in the rocky terrains of the mountains. They have a kind of a grip which is laid, and how do they do that? Basically, these hooves, they act like a suction pump, and thereby they are able to stick themselves over a particular surface, right? And that is how they end up staying in the same place in these very hard mountainous areas. So basically, they live at an altitude of up to around 4,500 meters and are perfectly equipped for the mountain life. And they have short and sturdy legs which provides them enough strength to hold their larger body together, right? And their oily skin secretions, they basically help them protect themselves from the very harsh winter conditions which fall upon that area. So they have their coating on the fur which protect them from the cold and damp condition, because understand, in the northeastern part of the country, in the mountains, it is not only lower temperature which is a natural risk. At the same time, you also have to confront with excessive amount of rainfall owing to the funnel shaped which is created by the mountains in that area. That is why amongst the highest rainfall receiving regions in the country, we have the northeastern states as well. Now, as per IUCN, their status is designated as vulnerable. The areas where you will find them: Dibang Valley in the region around Siang, that is in upper portion of Arunachal, Subansiri and Lohit Changlang area encompassing the region of Namdapha and Mauling National Parks as well. So that is where you find the Mishmi Takin, and here what you have to keep in mind is the region as well as what is the IUCN status. I hope this is understood. No doubts prevail in this particular portion. Okay? So is that clear? Good. Now we proceed ahead to the second question of the day. Now, the second question, read it carefully. Consider the following statement about Blyth's Tragopan, recently in news. It is considered as the state bird of Nagaland. Owing to poaching and deforestation, it has been put under critically endangered category by IUCN. It is also to be found in the adjoining regions of Bhutan and Myanmar. Which of the above statements is or are correct? So think about each of these. So this framing is important to decipher. The language is something which is very important to understand, so that you are able to decipher what kind of traps UPSC can lay in front of you. So here majority of you have gone with the answer B. Now let us analyze these statements carefully and let us try to understand what the correct answer is going to be. So it is considered as the state bird of Nagaland. So what is that Blyth's Tragopan? It is a kind of a pheasant, right? You have pheasant species. So this is what Blyth's Tragopan is. Okay. Now it is considered as the state bird of Nagaland. That is basically correct. Owing to poaching and deforestation, it has been put under critically endangered category by IUCN. This is where it is incorrect. It is found in the adjoining regions of Bhutan and Myanmar as well. This becomes correct. So the correct answer in this case is going to be C. That is 1 and 3 only. Okay. Now when we talk about, or why I have asked you to look into the framing of this sentence, and this will help you solve questions and answers in other subjects also. Understand how UPSC plays with the mindset of the candidates. So here, if simply the second statement would have been that it is put under the category of critically endangered, maybe you would have thought about it, that whether it is correct or incorrect. But generally what is done is, before that another statement is put that owing to poaching and deforestation. So the normal preconceived mindset is that yes, poaching and deforestation would be happening. It is happening across the country. So definitely in the northeastern states where the rate of deforestation is amongst the highest across the country, obviously this would be happening. So that is where the general tendency of the candidates is that if this is correct, the second part of the statement would also be naturally correct. And that is where UPSC changes a word here or there, something that it frequently does in the portion of geography, environment, and so on. So be on the lookout. Now, when we talk about this Blyth Tragopan, why has it been in news? Basically, in the region of the northeastern states, particularly in the area of Nagaland, in the region of Assam, and in the surrounding areas of Arunachal Pradesh as well, various different illegal gambling dens which operate. Now, these gambling dens, it had been found out by various different raids that in these various gambling dens, as a prize which was given to the victor, the rare animals and the rare animal meat of Blyth Tragopan as well as Binturong, these kinds of rare species would be given as a prize. So this particularly provides another angle about how these species can be endangered and why there is a need to increase the awareness and bring about a conservation strategy so that these are not consumed as exotic meats out there. Okay, so if you consider this, it is put under Appendix 1 of CITES, which means what? That trade in this species is absolutely prohibited. Appendix 1 basically represents that trade is prohibited. Okay, it is not allowed. Is there a blanket ban on the trade for those species listed in Appendix 1? Yes or no? Is there a blanket ban? No. So basically, we will cover the portion of CITES tomorrow. But you have to understand that CITES has got 3 different appendices in which the species can be listed. Appendix 1 is the most stringent of the measure, whereby formal trade is not allowed. Having said that, trade for the species in terms of research purposes, that can be allowed. But even if that is carried on, for example, India sends a particular species, let's suppose Blyth Tragopan, it sends it to Nepal, right, for research purposes, in order to understand what is their natural habitat, etc. Now, in that case, even if India sends that particular species, particular animal to Nepal, it is the job or the responsibility of Indian authorities to ensure the safety of that species. Right. So trade is carried out under the conditions of only research purposes, provided prior approval is taken, and even if it is done, the responsibility lies with the exporting country. Now, here the unique characteristic which nowadays UPSC has been framing in the case of the multiple statement questions: male has got a yellow face, grey underparts and white spots, a bright red breast and back of the head, and a white band on the base of the tail here. Female is brown throughout with uniform pale speckling and an indistinct pale eye ring. That is basically Blyth Tragopan. Now this particular bird species has been experiencing increased pressure on the population. Why? Because of increasing deforestation. The deforestation rates have been very high, particularly in the regions around Nagaland. That is why, due to this higher rate of deforestation, it is important. Now, what happens when deforestation happens? Deforestation is generally followed by, when we talk about deforestation, it is followed by huge amount of soil erosion. Okay? And soil erosion means natural vegetation in an area. Whatever natural vegetation that you have, the shrubs, etc., the seeds, etc., their concentration starts reducing. That is where the availability of food also reduces. Okay, when we talk about availability of food, of food, it reduces. It is also to be found in the surrounding regions. It is not only restricted to Nagaland, it is also to be found in the surrounding areas. Okay? Can you tell us about all three types of appendix briefly? We will be discussing sites separately tomorrow, about why, with the help of, due to the aspect of sites and recognition from sites, owing to that India basically amended the Wildlife Act also. What are the three appendices? What was the conference of parties for the sites? And all those details we shall be discussing tomorrow. Tomorrow we shall be discussing the conventions and the important laws and amendments. So that is where we'll discuss it in detail. Don't worry. Now we come on to the third question. Consider the following statements about Punganur cows recently in news. Their milk is considered highly nutritious with a very low fat content as compared to other indigenous varieties. Mission Punganur was initiated by the Telangana government to boost the cattle population. Which of the above statements is or are incorrect? So think about it and let me know. So here, please pay attention on the framing of the question. Yes, this is Punganur. Okay. Right. So here the first statement. So majority of you have given the answer B. Now here the first statement, their milk is considered highly nutritious with a very low fat content as compared to other indigenous varieties. This is incorrect. The milk that they give has got a very high amount of fat content, around 7 to 8%, which is much higher than the local indigenous breeds, which give a fat content of around 3 to 4%. So here, the normal indigenous breeds, they give a milk with a fat content of 3 to 4%. Here, Punganur cows, they give you a milk with a fat content of around 8%. So that is why it is considered to be ideal for making and manufacturing of ghee, for example. So it is considered healthy. Then Mission Punganur was initiated by the Telangana government? No. It was actually initiated by the Andhra Pradesh government. Right? So here, which of the above statements is or are incorrect? Here you will have C as the answer, that basically both the statements are incorrect. So here you have to understand again, it is about the framing. You might have heard about these Punganur cows and why it has been in news. It has been in news because on 14th of January, on the eve of Makar Sankranti, this is where the Prime Minister basically fed these cows, and that is when it immediately hit the news headlines. So meet the Punganur dwarf cows that PM Modi fed on Makar Sankranti. So that is when it basically hit the news headlines overall. Now here, when we talk about it, these are native to Punganur village in the Chittoor district of Andhra Pradesh. So those of you who were saying that it is from Tamil Nadu, it is from Telangana, it is basically from Andhra Pradesh, the Chittoor district. And the most important fact is that it has got very high resilience to drought conditions. Because generally when the drought conditions hit, generally you will observe that the animals, their health standard also starts to deplete. They start to become weaker and thinner. Why? Because the body is unable to adapt to low amount of nutrition provided in the food, the drier food items, etc. The body is unable to adapt. Now these species of cows, which are generally very small, they are able to adapt to low quality feed as well without impacting their overall health. So that is why this is considered to be a very important medium which can eventually lead to the doubling of the farm income as well. Now, having said that, their population is limited, they have increased demand, so they are pricey, they are costlier. But then that is why you had Mission Punganur, which was initiated by the Andhra Pradesh government in order to increase its population. Right? So it is prized for its milk, where you have a higher fat content, making it ideal for producing ghee. And here you can see they provide 1 to 3 liters of milk a day, which is significantly nutritious. And they are also rich in omega fatty acids, calcium, potassium, and magnesium. So nutrient is provided in ample amount from these milk, right? Now, when we talk about Mission Punganur, so basically this is an initiative where, involving the processes of IVF, for example, the aim is to improve the breed and also improve the number of these particular cow species. So as a part of its livestock development program, the government has been focusing upon the implementation of Mission Punganur, improving the quality and the numbers of each of these individual cattle that you have. And what is the primary objective? To propagate and conserve the population and do rapid multiplication of the superior breed, the superior genes. See, it is the superior genes which will have the resilient qualities, superior genes which will be healthier as well. And that is why it is needed to propagate that superior genes, and that is done by the ETF or the ETT, that is embryo transfer technology. And it is basically another important aspect of the project is what? To use the low genetic merit cows as surrogates and eventually use them to produce elite and high breed offsprings. Okay? A 3 to 4-fold increase in the reproductive efficiency of the cows is sought, and it envisages the production of at least 8.5 on an average, the number of offsprings, as compared to earlier around 2.5. So that is basically going to lead to a substantial increase in population. So as you can see, overall around 1700 offsprings are expected as a result of this process and the outcome of this process, as compared to what would be 200 the superior donors, right? So this Mission Punganur, this is also relevant for your prelims. You need to understand what it is about. Okay, what is it dealing about? What is it associated about? It is not about just extracting milk from the cows, because Mission Punganur, you will have your logic that it is associated with Punganur cows. It is associated by increasing the population by in vitro fertilization, embryo transplant technique, and embryo transfer technology, and so on. Okay, now moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements about Binturong, which has recently been added to the fauna list in Kaziranga. These are herbivore bear cats native to South and Southeast Asia. It is nocturnal in terms of its feeding habits. It is one of the species with a prehensile tail. How many of the above statements is or are incorrect? Let us understand this. See, you might feel a bit overwhelmed by this much amount of factual questions, etc. But you have to understand that these are the species in news. Once you are able to cover all these questions, including the marathon sessions, that will be more than sufficient when it comes to the questions that UPSC can throw at you. So try to tackle it in the sense that, can I solve it by applying logic? Do I know about it? Otherwise, understand it and add that information. Probably write it down somewhere in notes and do use it as a revision purpose. So here you have to focus that, again, incorrect is something which is being asked. So the first one, these are herbivore bear cats native to South and Southeast Asia. Is this correct? It is incorrect, because these are basically omnivore species, right? So these are omnivore species. Okay. Then It is nocturnal in terms of its feeding habits. So here, when we talk about these bear cats, these are not only nocturnal, they are also considered to be crepuscular, which means they are going to be active even during the time of the twilight. Okay, so you have basically three designations in terms of the feeding habits of the species. The ones who are active during the day, diurnal, the ones who are active during the twilight time, and the early morning, that is basically crepuscular, but mostly they are active during twilight, and the ones who are active during the night, they are basically nocturnal. So they are also crepuscular. So this is also incorrect. It is one of the species with a prehensile tail. What is a prehensile tail? It is basically that thickened bushy tail with which a particular species can suspend itself from any particular branches out there. So this one is correct. So how many of the above statements are incorrect? Here answer will be B, that is only 2. So here, if you take a look at it, why this is in news? So basically, elusive Binturong small clawed otter, they have been added to the Kaziranga's mammalian species list. And another reason why Binturong has been in news is because of the fact, as I mentioned, that in the gambling dens, other than Blyth's Tragopan, even Binturong and its particular meat was being supplied to the victors in the gambling dens, and that was something which was seized as per large amount of rates. So that is why this is a species which has remained in news multiple times during the last year, increasing the probability of questions being asked from this particular area. So what you see here as a thick bushy tail, that is the prehensile tail. That is what is used basically if required to suspend the body as well. So it is an arboreal omnivore of the civet family. Arboreal means that it stays up amongst the trees. Rarely will it venture out on the ground. So because of that, spotting it becomes absolutely difficult, because first of all, stays high in the bushes and the bushy outgrowth of the trees, and secondly, when the species is nocturnal as well, spotting it becomes very difficult. So it is nocturnal and crepuscular. Crepuscular, I will write here, active during twilight. Okay. Area where it is to be found. So it is basically Nepal, India, Bhutan, southward of Indonesian islands of Sumatra, Java, and as far east as to the region of Borneo as well. You will find there. Feeding habits, they are omnivore, which feeds mainly on fruits such as figs, but at the same time on the eggs, and small animals also can be consumed. IUCN status, vulnerable, CITES Appendix 2, and as per Wildlife Protection Act, listed under Schedule 1. Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act means maximum amount of protection which can be provided to any particular species. Okay, so that is Binturong and is present in the region of Assam and the neighboring areas. Okay, I hope this is understood. Now, here, consider the following statements with reference to the baobab trees. They are originally from Madagascar but have spread to Australia with the help of ocean currents. They are found in dry savanna habitats having edible leaves. They are fire resistant due to water-filled cell structures. Which of the above statements is or are correct? So what are these baobab trees? They have been again mentioned in news quite significantly. So which of them are correct? They are originally from Madagascar but spread to Australia with the help of ocean currents, found in dry savanna habitats, and are fire resistant. Right. So I hope we know what is baobab. I hope we are able to understand what is a baobab tree. Basically, this is a baobab tree. right? So this has been in news significantly about how they have spread. So they are originally from Madagascar, but they have spread over the other regions, even Australia and other areas of Africa as well, with the help of ocean current. Which ocean current? With the set of the currents which produce the Indian Ocean gyre. Okay, Indian Ocean gyre. So that is the entire gyre which is generated by the ocean currents. I will indicate to you what that gyre looks like. So there you have, with the help of that, so these trees, if you just take a look at the structure of these trees, these are also what are referred to as appended trees, right? So basically here you see that they have very thick bark. Now here the cells, they are filled up with water. So that is why many of these wood in the trees, they are of very poor quality, but within them they can store a lot of water. Now originally they were found in the region of Madagascar, and they appeared in the region of Madagascar many millions of years ago. Now here, they are also well known for the kind of branches. If you observe these branches, it appears like a root. That is why it is always thought to be as a kind of an opposite or an uprooted tree out there, right? Now here, in the region of Madagascar, one or couple of these tree species, they went extinct. But few of these tree species, as the scientists have basically indicated as a result of a new study, that a few of these tree species, they floated in water. Right, many of the times in the oceans you would have seen some logs of wood along with the leaf patterns, etc. They keep on floating. So like that, they are carried by the ocean currents over large distances. And due to this particular phenomena, some of them were carried to the west into the region of Africa, where they further pollinated and where the population further increased. And few of them then were transferred into the region of Australia by the same ocean currents, where again their population germinated and increased. In India also, in one or the other regions, you have these baobab trees, but they are not provided here, or they have not come here naturally. This is considered to be a kind of an invasion out there. Now, here they face a lot of threat in the region of dry savanna. But there is a lot of folklore associated with these trees in the region of savanna as well. So we'll take a look at that before that. So they are found in dry savanna habitats having edible leaves. That is basically correct. They are fire resistant due to water filled cell structures. This is also correct. So which of the statements is or are correct? The answer is 1, 2 and 3. Right? So all of them are correct. So here the leaves that they have, they are basically cooked, they are used as edible green vegetables. That is how they are used. Other than that, you will also find that multiple other fragments and parts of the tree, they are also consumed by the local population. But in the case of the savanna, what is the climatic condition associated when you talk about savanna? Here you will observe that you have long dry season, followed by short spell of rain. Right? So that is the condition generally observed in the area of the savannas. Now it is in this long dry season where these trees face maximum amount of threat. Now this is counterintuitive if you think about it, or is paradoxical basically, that if a tree can have that much amount of water storage, why will it face a threat during the dry seasons? If you random a guess here, basically that threat is posed by the natural gardeners of the savanna ecosystem, that is by the elephant species. The elephants, they basically hit this trunk of the tree as hard as they can, and eventually they break the tree or uproot the tree. And why do they do that? In order to consume the fleshy inside of these trunks, of these barks, so that they can get the availability of water. Because when we talk about the region of the savannas, during the dry seasons, during the season of no rainfall, during the summers, water is absolutely scarce. Be it in the pools, be it in the ponds, lakes, everywhere, you don't have any availability of water. So that is why the species go all out in order to have some consumption from somewhere. So that is where these baobabs, they experience a kind of a threat. Now, they are known for their great heights, some extending for around 50 meters and more. And most interestingly, the life cycle is basically up to thousands of years. So that is why even the one baobab that we have around the region of Golconda Fort in Andhra Pradesh, there also the tree is expected, or it is estimated to be around 400 years old, which tells you about the age to which these trees can stay healthy and can survive. Now they have trunks with large circumference and thin spindle-shaped branches. Now here, in local cultures, the trees are also revered because of multiple uses of their parts, and the fruits and seeds being edible, seed oil used for cooking, and bark fiber for clothing. See, understand, this statement in itself can be reframed into multiple statement questions. So be on the lookout for these kind of details. They are called as upside down trees. Now they are also considered as keystone species. What do we mean by keystone species? Keystone species basically represent those particular kind of species whose survivability is very vital for the survivability of associated set of species in that area. If that species somehow is eliminated, then the entire ecosystem can crumble. We'll talk about keystone species very shortly with the help of the next question. But before that, they play an important biological role in the conservation. So why are they keystone? Because look at the different types of species that they are conserving. Right? For example, that the fruits that they give, now that attracts the hawk moths. And because you have hawk moths, that brings sunbirds, and then even lemurs, they are interested. So you have an entire ecosystem that is established by the trees. And if these trees go, the ecosystem can crumble. So they grow with massive trunks that are hollow cylinders and understand low quality wood. Why? Because of water which is filled. Many of them can have more than 100 liters of water filled within the cellular tissues. Right? So some of the largest and oldest trees in Australia have been estimated to hold almost 1 lakh liters of water. Right? So you can imagine how much amount of water the cells can have. Now, as I told you, these trees basically got propagated out of Madagascar. So this is where in the region of Madagascar they first came into existence. But what do you see in terms of ocean currents here? See, here you have an Agulhas current. That Agulhas current was responsible for transmission and pollination of this tree into the western area, into the region of Africa. That is where it started spreading in Africa. And furthermore, if you observe the ocean currents in the portion of the Indian Ocean gyre, it carried it on into the western portion of Australia. Right? So that is how this tree basically propagated, and that is how it spread in different areas. Okay? Now, coming to the next question. Which of the following is or are indicator species of an ecosystem? Lichens, tiger, peregrine falcons. Select the correct answer based upon the options available. This should be a slightly easier question. I hope so. Which of these are indicator species of an ecosystem? So what do we mean by indicator species here? Indicator species basically, they give you an idea about the health of the ecosystem. whether the ecosystem is in absolute good health or not. So is tiger an indicator species? Yes or no? Basically, if you observe this, so here lichens, they are an indicator species, yes. How? What do they indicate? What is it that lichens indicate? How do we consider lichens as an indicator species? So lichens are an indicator of the level of air pollution in an area, and that too particularly the amount of sulfates and sulfur dioxide which is present in the air. So they give you an idea, they indicate the health or the air quality. The air quality. Right? Particularly air pollution. So they don't grow in areas where you will have air pollution. So particularly SO2. Okay. So that is why oftentimes lichens you will find to be growing in areas automatically indicating that the air there is clean. Now, owing to this particular property and to have a natural monitoring of the air in an area, one particular state in India did go ahead and establish lichen parks. Which was that particular state? Can we think about it? Let me know. Now, then when we talk about tigers, tigers are not indicator species. Tigers are basically considered to be keystone species. Okay? So they are not your part of the indicator species. They are keystone species. And then, yes, so lichen park has been set up by the Uttarakhand government in the Pithoragarh region in the Munsiari area. That is where the lichen park has been set up. UPSC has asked multiple amount of questions from the area of lichen. So that is something you have to keep in mind. So you had the lichen park in Uttarakhand. Yes, in the region of Pithoragarh district. Uttarakhand, Munsiari, in Pithoragarh region. Okay. Now, peregrine falcons, are they indicator species? The answer is yes. So what do they indicate? Peregrine falcons give you an idea about the pesticide load which is present in the area. Very good. So the amount of pesticides that you have present in an area, that is indicated by the peregrine falcons. How? By the process of bioaccumulation, generally they end up attaining a lot of these pesticides amongst their body, within their body, and that is where the population starts declining. So understand it from a very basic purpose. So let's suppose you have a farmland where you are growing crops which has got a lot of pesticides. You are spraying pesticides basically to keep the pests, rodents away. So let's suppose a species of mouse has come there. It has consumed some of the seeds, but owing to the pesticide which is sprayed, let's suppose that mouse dies and it is consumed by the falcon. So that feeding habit of the falcon slowly and steadily accumulates the pesticide load within the body, and that is where the nervous disorder starts to happen, and eventually these falcons, they die off. So they indicate pesticide load. Pesticide load. Okay. So here, which are the ones which are indicator species? You have C, that is 1 and 3 only. So here majority of you are incorrect again. So see, again, on the face of it, most of you agreed that this is a very easy question, but here as you can see, the twist was with the tiger. Now when we talk about the classification of these species, understand there is basically 4 general classification, and there is a 5th classification which is also nowadays being used, and that is the classification of what is referred to as umbrella species. So what it is, we will talk about it briefly. So when we talk about indicator species, we have already mentioned it helps us understand the health of the ecosystem, right? So health of the ecosystem. Any examples that you can think of? We are not the ones that you have already seen in the question. I hope you are innovative enough. So here, yes, very good. Example is corals. Because in marine areas, it is the presence of corals which will indicate whether the marine water is clean or is not. Okay. Similarly, you have the case of river dolphins. That also in most of the cases indicate the health of the aquatic ecosystem where they are surviving. It is a different matter altogether that nowadays dolphin species, river dolphin species, they are basically being put under danger owing to the fishing nets. But they will also give you an idea about the health of the aquatic ecosystem. Then comes keystone species. What are keystone species? The term keystone, understand and listen to this very carefully so that you don't forget ever. When you hear the term keystone, what do we mean by keystone? So keystone has got its derivation. It is an architectural terminology. So in architecture, in construction of buildings, earlier you used to have very large pillars, and those pillars would support the ceiling and the arches which used to be built. Now, the entire pillar's weight in the earlier buildings would be suspended on a central stone or on a larger stone. Now that would be referred to as a keystone. So if you would remove that keystone or if you would break that keystone, the entire building would come crumbling down. So that was the concept of keystone. So when we talk about keystone in terms of species, so keystone species are those whose removal, extinction can lead to the collapse of the entire ecosystem. So vital for the survivability of the ecosystem. Okay? Survivability of the ecosystem. Right? Why? Example here. Take the case of tigers. So how is it that if let's suppose tiger population, think about for a brief moment that let's suppose the tiger population goes extinct. Now as soon as the tiger population they are removed, automatically means that the herbivores they don't have any particular threat. Tigers they help keep the herbivore population in check. So once the tigers are eliminated, let's suppose consider the deer population. Now, the deer population will almost explode. Now, the explosion of the deer population would mean what? What will they consume? They will consume the grasses, the producers, isn't it? Now, if there is nothing as a check for the deer population and you have grasses, the deers will multiply. Population explosion, they will start consuming the grasses. Overgrazing will happen. Overgrazing means what? The producer community, the grass population will reduce, and that means what? Productivity in the ecosystem will decline. Productivity in the ecosystem will decline or vanishes. And that is where you have a non-productive, sort of dead zone which starts getting created. See, it can be regenerated again. It is not as if once a dead zone is created, for billions of years that will be dead zone. Can be regenerated, but it will take many hundreds, maybe thousands, in certain cases even millions of years. So that is why keystone species need to be conserved. Then you have flagship species. What are flagship species? Flagship, something that you associate with, right? So when you talk about flagship species, these serve as mascots, ambassadors of a larger cause. For example, when you take the case of, yes, you can take the case of pandas, for example. Now, for example, when you take a look at a panda, immediately you will have the image of conservation. WWF has made it as a kind of a symbol. When you take a look at elephants, elephants have become a symbol for what? Anti-poaching activities, anti-hunting activities, right? Because, and generally you will find it is the male elephants with the ivory, the tusk that they have, that is considered to be a kind of an ambassador, right? So that indicates the importance of preventing the hunting of those elephants. So that is flagship, serves as a mascot or symbol for a larger cause. Okay? So here you can take the example of elephants, pandas, etc. Now then comes the foundation species. They are important in basically creating the ecosystem in itself. For example, when you talk about the marine areas, the oceanic areas. Now in oceanic areas, there can be dead zones also, hypoxic waters without oxygen. But let's suppose a region is then colonized by corals. The coral reef population comes in. Now when the corals basically come in, that is when immediately what happens? You will have the other species of fishes also which come in, isn't it? The other species of, let's suppose, the oceanic or marine mammals also come in. So it populates and creates its own vital and very different kind of ecosystem. So here, creation of an ecosystem. Creating the ecosystem. Example, elephants or corals rather. Okay. Now what do we understand by umbrella species? Umbrella species, yes, rhino is also considered to be a flagship species. Yes. When we talk about phytoplanktons, no, they are not considered to be a part of foundation species. So what is it that we talk about umbrella? Umbrella species, when you consider, these are referred to in the terms of conservation. For example, let's suppose you consider the conservation of a tiger. Now, can you conserve only the tiger population without any other protection or conservation measure? In order to conserve the tiger, yesterday also we talked about it, that in the region of Bandhavgarh, the tigers are dying. Why? The tigers are dying because there is a kind of invasive alien species which is coming in. That is why the tigers are dying, isn't it? So basically, for the conservation of tigers, you need the conservation of the plant species, you need the conservation of the herbivore species. Along with that, you need the conservation of all the surrounding ecosystem. So there is an overwhelming conservation which is used. So conservation of a particular species, helps in conservation or protection of the larger ecosystem. For example, the conservation of tigers helps in conservation of the leopard population in India. That is why in few of the protected areas of the country, you will find the conservation or the amount or the number of leopards has been going higher. Example, tigers. Okay. So this can be used for match the following kind of a question. You have to be prepared for that. Now, we move ahead to the next question. Which of the following Asian rivers are considered to be the home of river dolphins? Now, this was in news. River dolphins were in news owing to a Bogota Declaration which was signed for the conservation of the river dolphins. So which of the following Asian rivers are considered to be the home? Indus, Ganga, Mahakam, Mekong, Irrawaddy. Out of these, which of them are considered to be the home of the river dolphins? Think about it carefully. Are we sure? Okay. So most of you are saying that I don't know about Mahakam. Okay. That is what the catch was of this question. I'm sure Indus and Gangetic river dolphins you would have rectified from your childhood days. It was Mahakam which was the twist in the question here. So here the correct answer is basically going to be C. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So Indus and Ganga, we do know that they have got the presence of river dolphins. Mahakam is a river in Indonesia where also river dolphins have been found. Then Mekong and Irrawaddy, there also in the regions of Southeast Asia rather, you have the significant presence of river dolphins. Now, as I told you, this has been in news. Why? This has been in news owing to the Bogota Declaration of river dolphins. Where is Bogota? Colombia. So 11 Asian and South American countries, they signed a deal in Bogota to save the world's 6 surviving species of river dolphins from extinction. Outlines measures such as eradicating gill nets, reducing the pollution load, expanding research initiatives and creating protected areas to safeguard the dolphin population. Various countries who have been involved in this include Bangladesh, Bolivia, Brazil, Cambodia, Colombia, Ecuador, India, Nepal, Pakistan, Peru and Venezuela. There was a representative from Indonesia as well. See, these riverine dolphins, they are to be found in the region of South and Southeast Asia. Along with that, they will be found in South America only. They are not to be found in the region of Australia, Africa, Europe or North America. You don't have these river dolphins. That is why a recent study was also was discussed significantly in news stories, where it was found out that the ancient remains or the fossil remains of ancient river dolphin of the coast of Peru indicates that it would have been a common ancestor of the river dolphins that we find in river Ganga as well. Right. So that is basically these various river dolphins. Now the global declaration, it talks about establishing a network of protected areas. In India, we have a protected area for the conservation of river dolphin in the form of Vikramshila Dolphin Sanctuary, which is situated in the region of Bhagalpur in Bihar. So that is the protected area for the dolphin. Protected area for dolphin in India. So that needs to be done on a global scale. So this is Vikramshila Dolphin Sanctuary. Okay. Now, in order to conserve the river dolphins, India has initiated Project Dolphin as well. Now, Project Dolphin is a project with a tenure for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years or 30 years. Think about it. Let me know. So, improving river dolphin site management, expanding research and monitoring activities, engaging local communities and indigenous population, making them a part of the conservation measure, eradicating unsustainable fishing practices and so on. The World Dolphin Day, River Dolphin Day on 24th October would be celebrated and increased mass awareness campaigns would be laid out. Right? So that was the river dolphin. Now, when we talk about the species of river dolphin, so you have the species at Amazon, Indus, Ganges, Irrawaddy, Tuskegee, and Yangtze finless porpoises. Right. Now, the Chinese or dolphin or baiji went extinct way back in 2007. So here you have different names also. Right. So, for example, Chinese river dolphin was referred to as baiji. When we talk about the Gangetic river dolphin, it is also known by the name sauce. Right. And then Indus, it is also referred to as Bulan, and when we talk about Amazon, it is also known by the name of Boto. So each of them have got their individual names associated as well. Now, the Amazon river dolphin or the pink river dolphin or Boto is the largest river dolphin which is present. Now, the status endangered. Both Indus and Gangetic dolphin, they are endangered. Now, in India, where do we find this Indus river dolphin? Where do we find it in India? So, this in India is to be found across river Satluj. And this Indus dolphin is also declared as basically it has been given significant amount of recognition for conservation measure by Punjab. So, state animal of Punjab, that has also been declared there. So, this was done in order to increase the awareness for conservation. Now, when we talk about Mahakam, in the region of Mahakam River in Indonesia, an interesting project has been initiated to save the lives of these dolphins, and that also becomes important. What do you understand by electronic pinger project? So one of the major issues which reduces the population of these dolphins is the fact that the dolphins, they get trapped in the fishing nets, and that is when they are unable to disentangle themselves. Anyways, they use echolocation for the movement in the rivers. So once they are trapped in the fishing nets, their movement further gets hampered, availability of food gets hampered, and they die a very painful death. That is why in Indonesia, with the help of the local fishermen, electronic pinger project has been initiated. What is that pinger project? As per this, basically there are acoustic devices which are installed within the nets also. Right. So the nets have got these pingers. So those acoustic devices, they emanate a sound. They release a sound. So upon listening to those sound, that serves as a warning signal. So the dolphins, they tend to stay away from the areas where you have these nets. Right. So basically, that is again one of the measures to prevent the extinction of these dolphins. Now, for conservation of dolphins in India, India had initiated Project Dolphin, which was a 10-year program. So it is a 10-year program. What is relevant for the examination here? That the Project Dolphin that has been initiated by India is going to be aimed at conserving the population of river dolphins also, conserving the population of marine dolphins also. It is not only restricted to river dolphin. So for both river and sea, okay, for both species. Then basically to strengthen the biodiversity conservation measures and to build conservation areas, protection areas, and that is the entire aim. Where is it found in India? When we talk about the Gangetic dolphin, so Assam, Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, that is where you find the presence of Gangetic dolphin. Okay. Now, after that we come to the next question. Black spotted croaker is considered to be a species of an amphibian frog, marine fish, migratory birds from Central Asia, invasive species of turtle. What is black spotted croaker, which was in news? Anupam, why dolphins found in Chilika Lake are called Irrawaddy? They are Irrawaddy dolphins in terms of their genesis, in terms of their entire body structure. So it is again considered to be the presence of these dolphins in that area that would have spread long time back before the present condition that you have. So here, what is black spotted croaker? The name gave it away, is it? Okay. It is basically a marine fish. It has been declared as the state fish of Gujarat. This is what is referred to as the fish which is known as ghole. Okay, UPSC does ask you this kind of question. It will frame a particular kind of a name there, right? A difficult name, and it will ask you what is that species. Okay, so please beware of that. So this is a particular species, ghole, which is considered as sea gold because of the value that it fetches. 1 kg of this fish can basically yield the fishermen around 10,000 to 15,000 rupees per kg. One adult fish can end up weighing up till 25 kgs. So you can imagine the amount of money that they can make. Now here we don't exactly have the population number of this particular species of fish. Having said that, in the region of Gujarat, in the surrounding areas of Pakistan also, in the marine waters you find this fish. But generally, why you don't have that much amount of detail and idea about this fish is basically in those areas you have the presence of shark species as well. So they are considered to be predator species. Other than that, when you lay down the fishing net, many of the times in those fishing nets you get sharks which are trapped. Now sharks can stay alive for some period of time, till which point of time you can cut those fishing nets, free those sharks. But by the time that you will cut those, let's suppose if a ghole species has also been trapped there, it will die. So much amount of information, that is why has not been gained till now. Okay, so here if you talk about it, it is considered to be very healthy, very nutritious. This fish is in huge demand from eastern portion of Asia, particularly the region of China, owing to the health benefits that it has. It has basically got, if you take a look at it, primarily found in Asia Pacific, all the way from the region of Persian Gulf all the way to the region of Pacific. It is known as sea gold as well. It is good for eye health and helps in maintaining eyesight, prevents aging and wrinkles. Basically, the omega-3 content in the goldfish, that is beneficial for the development of the brain. So that is why it is recommended to the young ones in order to develop their intellectual quotient, intelligence quotient or IQ level. That is where it is always advisable as well. Now these species of fishes, they also have the air bladder, which turns out to be much more costlier. So its air bladder is particularly a prized possession for medicinal value, exported to countries like China, Singapore, region of Hong Kong. Cost of a kilo of ghole can be anywhere between 5,000 and 15,000. IUCN status is near threatened. You don't have that much amount of measure of this species of fish. Now, coming to the next question. Consider the following statements with reference to watermeal, recently in news. It is considered to be the world's smallest flowering plant. It doesn't have roots, leaves or stems. It is considered to be a rich source of protein. Which of the above statements is or are correct for the term watermeal? What does watermeal refer to? This has been in news recently owing to the findings which have emerged from the universities in Thailand, where this is found in significant number. So here basically you will observe it is the world's smallest flowering plant. It doesn't have the presence of roots, stems or leaves. This is what is the watermeal. Okay, this is considered to be watermeal. Why it was in news is because of the fact that research has been carried out, is being carried out for the viable existence of this particular plant species in outer space, particularly for astronauts who go on long-term missions, maybe on the moon and the future missions to Mars. That is where the availability of organic protein becomes very important. And these particular species of plants, understand, they don't have the root, stems or leaves, right? And at the same time, they are small enough. So once you consume that water meal, you are consuming the 100% of the plant. It is not as if the whatever nutrient was there in the root we have removed, we have washed away. No. So that is why the wholesome consumption of nutrient happens. At the same time, this is a particular plant species which can also, as the case with any plant species, when it carries out the process of photosynthesis, it will produce oxygen as a result. So that can be beneficial in space missions, where oxygen can also be produced. Consumption can also be aimed at. Okay. So here, which of them are correct? All three of them, that is C, is considered to be the correct answer here. Okay. Now, moving to the next question. Consider the following statements about blue dragon recently in news. So, when we talk about blue dragon, these are small hermaphrodites belonging to the mollusk grouping. They are found only in the Indian and the Pacific Ocean. It is a venomous species which can cause sting-related issue, particularly amongst the children. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Here, blue dragon. When you talk about blue dragon, this is the species, right? Why was it in news? It was spotted in the region of Chennai and other parts of the coastal area across the world. So here, what are the correct statements? So these are small hermaphrodites belonging to the mollusk grouping. This is basically correct. So the first statement is correct. They are found only in the Indian and the Pacific Ocean. This is incorrect. They can be found floating near the surface of the water in the region of Atlantic also, Pacific also, Indian Ocean also, in the tropical area also, in the temperate region also. Okay, you will find them to be spread over. It is a venomous species which can cause sting related issues, particularly amongst the children. Now, can it cause sting related issue particularly amongst children? Yes. Is it a venomous species? No, it is not a venomous species. When do we say that a species is venomous? When basically, let's suppose it has got a venomous sac within it, or when it is basically using that venom as a kind of an attack medium. That is not the case here. Here, you will find that these have developed a kind of a defense mechanism due to which it can sting, which causes nausea, issues of health, etc. But they are not considered to be venomous. They are hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites mean what? The same species or the same individual will have both male and female reproductive organs, means they are much more resilient in nature. So which of the above statements here are correct? The answer is one only. So here, if you observe these protrusions. These protrusions, they not only act as the defense mechanism, these protrusions, they also serve as a general absorption when it comes to dealing with jellyfish, poisonous species, etc. So the jellyfish, they have those poison cells associated, right? Now those poison cells are absorbed here and they are stored. And eventually, when let's suppose you have an interaction with this particular blue dragon, those poison cells which has been stored, that will be given away. So you will feel the sting, you will feel the ill effects, but it is not venomous per se. So it is a type of mollusk which rarely grows larger than a size of 3 centimeter, very small, floating close to the surface of water. It has got an air bubble which helps it keep itself afloat and can be found drifting near the surface of water around the tropical and the temperate regions of almost all the oceans. Considered to be immune from the nematocysts. These are the poison-bearing cells. For example, the species like jellyfish, they have these nematocysts. So these nematocysts are being stored by this species of blue dragon, and when the time comes, that will then be given out. So it stores these nematocysts into finger-like projections, which serves as a protective organ. So it can lead to nausea, pain, vomiting, acute allergic reactions and inflammatory reactions as well. And they are considered to be hermaphrodites. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. Here. Article says it is venomous. Basically, whatever you have seen, the article says it's venomous is because of the sting. But does the species have venom within itself? The answer is no. It simply accumulates these cells, the poison cells, which it gets from the various other species out there. Okay? Mandeepa, I hope it is understood. All species in use should be remembered for IUCN status? No, Anupam. It is not the case, because only those species, first of all, mentioned in India where there has been a threat elevation or reduction, those are the ones you can take a look into. Okay. PDF is not, we'll work on it, the PDF portion, don't worry. Now, we come to this question. With reference to Kumki elephants, consider the following statements. They are wild elephants which are captured owing to man-animal conflicts. When any wild elephant gets injured, Kumkis are used to provide medical treatments. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Peter, may you help to list the static topics from E&E that is essential for this year's prelims. Basically, the areas in use, species in use that we have been discussing, Peter, along with that, the amendments to the laws which have happened. There can be a question expected from that also. But when you talk about static, biodiversity, threat to biodiversity, climate change, climate tipping points. Okay? So here, when we talk about Kumki elephants, so they are wild animals which are captured owing to man-animal conflict. So are they wild elephants initially? Yes. Are they captured owing to man-animal conflict? No. They are basically the trained elephants. They are captured from the wild. They are trained for a duration of 3 years, spanning through various different types. For example, initially, under the guidance of the forest official, under the guidance of a local mahout, that is when the training is provided. Then eventually it is these Kumkis, they are allowed to mingle with the wild elephant population also, so that they don't get scared. Generally, what is the problem with the domesticated elephants? As soon as they get an exposure to the wild elephants, that is when they get impacted. They feel threatened, they feel scared, right? So that is done. Now, like that, multiple different tours to the forests are arranged for the elephant along with the officials, so that they can get an idea about acclimatization of the natural condition as well. Eventually, that elephant is allowed to let go on its own in the forest only with the mahout, and when it comes back, it is referred to as a Kumki elephant. Okay, so these are generally to be found in the region of Tamil Nadu, and these are used in order to treat, let's suppose, any other injured wild elephant. They are used to, let's suppose, an elephant gets stuck, so from there guide that wild elephant into safety, and also bring the wild elephants which here and there stray into the farms, so to bring them also under control. That is where Kumkis are brought under use, right? So when any wild elephant gets injured, Kumkis are used to provide medical treatments. This is a correct statement. So here, which of them are correct? The answer is B, that is 2 only, right? So here again, majority of you are given the incorrect answer, but it is B. So here, understand why it has been in news, and it has been in news multiple times, my dear friend. So here, Odisha government seeks urgent deployment of Kumki elephants from Tamil Nadu, because what is happening is, there the man-animal conflict is increasing. So in order to control those wild elephants which are entering into human habitations, posing a threat, posing a danger to the human habitations, they will be brought under control. Here the image which was provided in the Hindu itself basically gives you an idea. This is the wild elephant and this is the Kumki. Right? The Kumki is basically being used to guide that wild elephant and move it to the truck for safe transportation. So it is a long-term training program. So they are elephants trained to capture and tame the wild elephants. Elephant calves that are separated from the herd in the forest and the captured wild elephants are tamed and trained to become the Kumkis. The training period in itself is 3 years in the various phases that I have told, and the word Kumki in itself is derived from the Persian term kumak, right, which means aid. So from Bengal to Tamil Nadu, across the eastern margins, elephant-rich areas, you will find the presence of the Kumkis and the utilization of these Kumkis. So they help in patrolling and rescue operation. Now these are again the breeds of Asiatic elephants itself. Asiatic elephants, IUCN status, endangered. Many of the students commit mistake in this because Save Elephants, Project Elephant, conservation of elephant is so much in news, they think it is critically endangered. It is endangered. Okay. Under CITES Appendix 1, under Wildlife Protection Act, put under Schedule 1, which means maximum conservation, maximum protection. Okay. So now coming to the next question. Which of the following species are considered to be critically endangered? Out of the 5 species listed here, which of them are considered to be critically endangered? Forest owlet, Namdapha flying squirrel, white-backed vulture, Asiatic lions, and Nilgiri tar. Select the correct option out of this. Which of them are considered to be critically endangered? Let me know. So here, why this has been in news? Nilgiri tar has been in news because of the project Nilgiri tar. When we talk about Asiatic lions, they have been in news for the translocation. Forest owlet is the species which is in most mention. It is a species of bird which was thought to have gone extinct for a very long time. Typically found in the forested areas of Odisha, central portion of India and the region of Maharashtra. Basically, forest owlet was considered to have gone extinct. But this has recently been sighted in the Melaghat protected area. And in that Melaghat protected area, you have the sighting of the forest owlet, which made the headlines. So out of this, forest owlet has been put under endangered. Namdapha flying squirrel and white-backed vulture, they are basically critically endangered. Asiatic lions and Nilgiri tar, again, are put under which category? Endangered. Right? So here the correct answer is A, that is 2 and 3 only. Okay? Option 4, it was listed Asiatic lions. So basically the correct answer here is 2 and 3 only. Namdapha flying squirrel and white-backed vulture, they are the ones which are put under the portion of critically endangered. Okay, so here why was it in news? Endangered forest owlet recorded in Maharashtra's Melaghat region. Right? So it was first described in 1873 and it was not sighted after 1884. In 1997 it was rediscovered, and these are diurnal birds and observed to hunt during the day. They eat rodents, reptiles, lizards, skinks, and also various insects. IUCN status is endangered. Any doubts that we have? Generally, the doubts section, we will take it at the end, but in case any hesitation, any doubts, do let me know. See, understand, Namdapha flying squirrel and basically, Dinesh, understand Namdapha flying squirrel present in the, where is it present? It is present in the region of Namdapha protected area in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so by that you can have an easy recall. When we talk about vulture population is already at the brink of extinction owing to huge amount of pollution due to the pesticide load. So these are easy ones. Asiatic lion, whether it is critically endangered or not, easy to understand. You have more than 600 species in the Gir region, so not critically endangered. Forest owlet was the one in news which could have confused you. Okay, so if you are aware about some of the species, it would be easier to get at the answer. Okay, all these species appeared in the Hindu or the other newspapers. Basically, this entire particular thing or the entire species list that we are talking about, this is a culmination from the articles, the research papers, the Down to Earth magazine, all the important sources that UPSC generally refers to. Now, with reference to the first snow leopard count carried out in India, consider the following statements. Snow leopard count. Arunachal has the highest population of snow leopards, followed by Ladakh. India has around 65% of the global snow leopard population owing to the Himalayan habitat. They face threats from free-ranging dogs, poaching, etc., and has been put under endangered category by IUCN. How many of the above statements is or are incorrect? Let me know. How many of them are incorrect? Now, basically, snow leopard count had been carried out. So it was being carried out for a few years. Snow leopards are the species, the predators of high altitude areas, mountainous areas. That is why it is very difficult to spot them, first of all. Because of the camouflage and the nature of the skin that they have, basically you will observe that very difficult to spot them in the snowy area. So that is why it was in news. So here, this is the snow leopard population. So here, when you take a look at it, so first statement, Arunachal has the highest population. This is incorrect. Which has got the highest population? It is Ladakh. Ladakh has got highest population. Overall, the number of snow leopards has come out to be around 718 to 20. So out of that, 477 are to be found in the region of Ladakh. Then followed by Uttarakhand having a population of 124, followed by Himachal Pradesh, then comes Arunachal, then comes Sikkim, and then comes the region of Jammu Kashmir. So the first statement basically is incorrect. Now, India has around 65% of the global snow leopard population. Now, this latest census has indicated to us that India has got a population of 10 to 15% of the global population of these snow leopards. So, this also stands out to be incorrect. The third statement, they face threats from free-ranging dogs, poaching, etc., and has been put under endangered category by IUCN. Earlier, it was put under endangered category. And why did IUCN remove it from the endangered category? Because, first of all, why was it put under endangered category? It was put there because the absolute number of species which are to be found in the entire range area. What is their range area? They are to be found in the high mountainous areas of Central Asia, in the region of the Himalayas, even in the portion of Eastern India. So the range is very large. But in that entire range, sighting it was very difficult. So it was understood that their population would be very less. And that is why it was put under endangered. But within a couple of years, the IUCN realized, and the various survey agencies, they realized that these might be present in larger numbers than what we had imagined. And one of the estimates put their population number at more than 7,000 individuals. It is just that you are not able to spot them. But look at the signs, you will find the presence of these snow leopards. That was the understanding. And after that, it was removed from there and it was put under the vulnerable category. So here, how many of the statements are incorrect? All the three of the statements are basically incorrect. So here, if you take a look at it, so this began in 2019, and what is relevant for your examination is that who carried out this count. So this count was carried out by World Wildlife Fund for Nature, WWF India, Nature Conservation Foundation, and along with Wildlife Institute. So all of them carried out this particular count. It has been classified as vulnerable by IUCN and faces threats from poaching and even the feral dogs, particularly in the state of Uttarakhand, that has been cited as a danger. Because in the region of Uttarakhand, in the hilly stretches, in the remote villages, many of the people, they are keeping dogs as guards now, right? And many of these dogs, the random stray dogs, they go ahead and they have a bite. And that is where these snow leopards, they can get impacted by diseases in the long run. Okay. Now, what is their range area, the region where you will find them? So if you observe this, this is to be found in a larger area, as you can see, spreading from the region of Hindu Kush, the Himalayas, the region of Tibet, into Central Asia, into the region of China, Russia, in the entire area. That is basically the range of or the presence of the snow leopard population. Hence, put or relegated under vulnerable category. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. With regard to the recently discovered species of fish, that is Badis Limaakumi, which of the given statements is correct? They are known as chameleon fishes and can change color. They are edible saltwater fishes found in the estuarine regions of Bay of Bengal. They are to be found only in the regions of India and Bangladesh. They are well known to consume smaller fishes of invasive purple jellyfish and are used to cleanse the coastal ecosystems. So what is it that Badis Limaakumi is known for? This was also significantly mentioned in news. You had a detailed article piece appearing in the Down to Earth magazine about the discovery of this Badis species. Badis is a kind of species of multiple fishes that you have. Okay, you have multiple sub-varieties of fishes under the Badis family. No idea. Okay. So here, they are known as chameleon fishes and they can change color. They are to be found in the river ecosystems around the region of Nagaland, and it is estimated that many such fishes would be found. New species of fishes are waiting to be discovered, particularly in the surrounding regions and the smaller water bodies in the northeastern states, right? So this is basically the species of Badis Limaakumi. Okay. Now, why the name Limaakumi? It is named after the professor who helped in the study of these kind of fishes. Overall, the grouping or the main variety of the fishes of the Badis family. So scientists have recently discovered a new species of fish from the Milak River in Nagaland. Belongs to the family of Badidae, a small freshwater fish found in streams having moderate, not very swift flow. So where are they found? India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, Thailand, Myanmar. In the entirety of the stretch, you'll find the species of fish. Okay? Now, next question. Consider the following statements with reference to green leaf volatiles recently in news. What are green leaf volatiles? They are emitted by the plants to function as a warning signal indicating potential danger. They involve a deficiency of calcium created by the plants, which induces a glow and a distinct smell. So what do we understand by green leaf volatiles? So here, green leaf volatiles, basically it is a mode of communication that the plants are adopting, right? The plants are basically using that in order to communicate with each other. That is what was understood. That is what has been found here. So basically this, whenever any particular plant species faces a threat, faces a danger, maybe you will have an insect nibbling on it, maybe you are cutting the grass in an area, so that is when they emit a signal. So what do? Basically, suddenly in that part of the body there is a significant pigmentation of calcium, which emits a unique kind of smell. So they are emitted by the plants to function as a warning signal indicating potential danger. That is correct. They involve a deficiency of calcium. No. A surplus of calcium created by the plants, which induces a glow. So when you would have seen a newly broken leaf or a cut leaf, it has got a glow, right? When you mow the lawn, when you cut the grasses, you would have heard about this in multiple of these English sentences, that the smell of a freshly cut grass, or you would also be associating with that. That is basically the signal that the plant is emitting. That means it is in distress and it is emitting that signal to the neighboring plants so that they can have their own defense mechanisms in place as well. So what is the defense mechanism that the other plants can have? They can virtually make themselves unpalatable. They can make them the leaves indigestible by accumulating certain amount of compounds within the leaves. So the various the carbon compounds which are present, they are used in sending these signals, and that helps them ward off the attacks by predators. So here, which is correct? The answer is A. That is one only which is correct. Okay, so here as you can see, so excessive heat, any of the thing, for example, if you have a pathogen infection, when you have an insect attack, in all of these cases, these green leaf volatiles, they are released. They consist of carbon compounds, alcohol, aldehyde, then ethers, all of them they contain. Then release of these green leaf volatile is caused by mechanical damage to the plant structure, and when they mount a defense response, plants can make themselves less palatable. How do they achieve that? By having excess amount of calcium, right? So it is mediated by calcium. So here that calcium is used as a conductor for signals, right? Even in our body, calcium deficiency leads to nervous disorders, as you would have observed, because that signal emission by the body, there calcium plays a significant role. So apply that logic. When insects nibble on plant leaves, calcium ions flood the cells, prompting them to emit a glow and have that unique smell. Okay? Now, then, consider the following statements with reference to horseshoe crabs. They have survived multiple mass extinctions, including the asteroid hit which killed the dinosaurs. In India, they are to be found only in the region of Great Nicobar. It is listed as critically endangered as per IUCN. Which of the above statements is or are correct? If you read the statements carefully, I hope by now you are able to understand the phrasing of the sentences. So you will be able to come at the correct answer. You see, horseshoe crabs, they have been in news because there has been significant amount of petition being submitted to the global agencies to elevate their threat level, the threat level that they face. Why? Because there is increased amount of poaching, and at the same time the crabs are dying because of the fishing nets and unsustainable activities by the humans. Understand, these are the crab species which have survived in the area or on the planet Earth for millions and millions of years. They have survived multiple mass extinctions. Not only the one that killed the dinosaurs, but multiple before that as well. Right? So here the first statement is correct. In India, where do you find them? In India, you will find them in the breeding season along the regions of Odisha, where you will have a large population, along the stretches of also Bengal, West Bengal. So they are to be found, and obviously Great Nicobar also. It is listed as critically endangered. That is basically incorrect. There are 4 different varieties of the horseshoe crabs which are in existence now. Out of them, 3 of them are found in the region around India. We'll talk about it. So which of the above statements is or are correct? The answer is A. That is one only. That is the correct answer. So horseshoe crabs, living fossils of the sea, draw endangered species petition. So that is also what is known as a marine living fossil, owing to the large ancestry which it has, and also owing to the fact that they have been surviving on the planet for a long period of time, and they give you an idea about the earlier existent animal species. So it is a marine arthropod living in shallow coastal waters where you have soft, sandy and muddy structures. So here they spawn mostly at the intertidal beaches. Intertidal means the difference that you have between the case of a high tide and a low tide. That is the intertidal at summer and spring high tide condition. That is when they are to be found in these beaches. That is when they are most vulnerable as well. So there are 4 species. So American horseshoe crab, the tri-spine horseshoe crab, the coastal horseshoe crab, and the mangrove horseshoe crab. These are the ones that you find in the region around India. Okay? This one is not to be found in the region around India. Now out of these, basically, the American horseshoe crab is vulnerable, tri-spine horseshoe crab is considered endangered, and overall, the protection provided as per the Wildlife Protection Act, it is put under Schedule 4, where if you need to consume it, if you need to hunt it, you need to have some required permissions associated, which is not being followed. That is why their population is decreasing even in the coastal areas across India. Okay? Now, the last question of the day. With regard to the recently conducted status of leopards 2022 population count, consider the following statements. Only around 1/3 of the leopard population is in the protected areas, while 2/3 of the leopards are outside the protected areas. Their population has increased in the Shivaliks but has showed a decline in central India due to frequent man-animal conflicts. Their population has grown by 150% in eastern Indian states of Arunachal, Assam and West Bengal. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Read the statement carefully and think about it. So here, first statement, only around 1/3 of the leopard population is in the protected area and 2/3 of the leopards are outside that protected area. Is it correct? It is correct. Why? Because leopards, they are very adaptable species. The leopards, generally you will find, they will be able to intermingle even in the vicinities of the urban regions, in the villages, human habitations, because they are able to find different types of food, unlike the case of the tigers. That is why tigers, you will find that there are less man-animal conflict. In the case of leopards, you have very frequent man-animal conflicts. Almost all the urban areas of the country, they are basically witnessing increased amount of leopard sightings, right? So their population has increased in the Shivaliks but has shown a decline in central India. This is incorrect. Shivaliks is a region where the leopard population has indicated a decline, and the reason that is being cited is because of the fact that attention was being paid on the conservation of tigers. So when you are having the tiger population to be increasing, automatically what does that mean? That the herbivore population is getting lesser, and owing to that reduced herbivore population, the leopards are forced to venture out of that forested area, and when they venture out, that is when they face various threats and damages. Their population has grown by 150% in eastern states of Arunachal, Assam and West Bengal. That is correct. Why? Because this is considered to be a kind of a measurement issue. Earlier, we did not have the apt and ideal measurement. It was assumed, it is estimated that the earlier measurements are inaccurate. The present measurement is much more accurate. That is why the real numbers are being reflected now. So as compared to the earlier population count, it indicates a 150% increase. So which of the statements given above is or are correct? The answer is C, that is 1 and 3 only. Okay. So here, basically, that is what the 2022 status of leopards in India report suggests. That is what was in news. This is as per the leopard census, the count. Here you would observe the maximum population of leopard again in the region of Madhya Pradesh, which has also got the presence of semi-arid area, which has also got the presence of large-scale tiger population. That is followed by the region of Maharashtra, to be followed by Karnataka, to be followed by Tamil Nadu. The population in the region of the Shivaliks, that is in the region of Uttarakhand in particular, has indicated a marked decrease. Okay, and why is that the case? So basically the Shivalik and the Gangetic plains, they indicated a decline, and that decline was owing to the conservation of the tigers. Now understand here, see, the forest officials in Uttarakhand have said that because we were conserving tigers, we required the conservation or the protection of the tigers. All the herbivores were consumed by the tiger population, hence the leopard population has declined. But the Madhya Pradesh forest officials, they have said, because we were conserving the tigers, we were conserving all the species around it, and hence the leopards could get the food and their population increased. So you still need an empirical evidence regarding the data, but this was the first reliable data count following modern scientific camera traps, etc. So the next population census which is carried out, that will give you a better clue. So in the regions of Odisha, there has been a decline. In Uttarakhand has been a decline. Kerala, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, Bihar and Goa, all of these have indicated a decline in the leopard population. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the discussion for the species in news for today. I hope that you have basically gained information about it. Praneeth, if we have enough leopards, why we need cheetah project? Both are almost same. No, both of them are not same. Cheetahs have their own role when it comes to semi-arid ecosystems. In the region of the semi-arid ecosystem, cheetahs are very, very important. That is why. Okay. So here, Manohar, I see many options, like in terms of options like 1, 2, 3 where elimination is possible, but seeing they have stopped giving. So we have, that is what we are discussing, only one option correct, only 2 options correct. But UPSC is also giving 1, 2 and 3. You have to prepare yourself accordingly. What if UPSC this time frames that kind of a question? You cannot go there empty-handed that I prepared for something else, right? So I hope that this is understood. I hope you are able to solve as many questions. If whatever the number of questions that you have solved, put it down in the comment section. If you have liked the video, please don't forget to click on the like, share and the subscribe button. We meet again tomorrow, where we pick up the discussion for the conventions, the laws and the important amendments mentioned in news. So till we meet again tomorrow, do take care of yourself. Have a good night. Goodbye. Thank you.